Wait, I was just reading this book, Alien Goddess, and I had like a crazy revelation. So basically in this book, Dr. Joanna Kujawa talks about what UFOs really want to tell us. She talks about how AI can damage society, and she also talks about the goddess of ascension, the mythology of Baba Yaga and Inanna, and the divine feminine, and how these all have something in common. But in the first chapter, she talks about liminal spaces and how our experiences with UFOs, with other beings of consciousness, our expanded experiences take place in what she calls this liminal space. I have called it in my book, which is in the link in my bio, the third space. She literally calls it that too. It is a space between matter and spirit. I say that I call it 4D plasma, 4-dimensional plasma. You could call it the subconscious. You could call it the threshold, the Akashic realm, dream space. It doesn't really matter what we call it, but it has characteristics that cannot be proven in science because science is mostly materialism. Even in quantum physics, a lot of the stuff is, very small materials, like, small atoms and quarks and gluons, but they're still observable in material reality. And I started to think to myself, she talks about how there's some observable proof of UFO encounters, like, footprints left behind or like crop circle stuff. But for the most part, there's no real evidence. She talks about being like having to prove love to someone who's never experienced love. Like it's hard to just define. So it got me thinking. I have this theory, this framework called holonic metadynamics. I know that's a mouthful, but it's basically the science of the invisible, the science of the unseen reality. And it is systems-based and holistic-based and also like holographic universe-based. And it basically says that anything is a holon, which means it is a part that also has the whole within it. And when two holons, like a book and water, come together, it creates a third thing, like maybe, a wet book. Wasn't the best example, but in this unseen reality, there are holons too. There is my consciousness in this plasma bubble, and then there's another being of consciousness, let's just say this alien encounter. And here, when the two come together, it creates a Vessia Pisces, it's called, or a Vesca Pisces. It creates this slit, which births a third thing, something called a gestalt. And a gestalt is just something that is greater than the sum of its parts. My theory is we can test these gestalts in observable science, but we'll never be able to test in observable science the holons in this unseen reality. So if there's an alien encounter and there's, alien burns on the ground, we could take a piece of that, put it under a microscope, and see what third emergent quality is there that is not part of the ground or the dirt or the wheat, whatever. That might lead us somewhere. Hope that made sense, but very good book.